Orange can be hard sometimes, she knows.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle, and welcome back, my friends, to the summer of vehicles and playsets.
You know, we've taken a look at some great toys so far this summer. And the earthquake. Let's find out if today's subject is in the former or latter category. So meet the Cobra Paralyzer. This vehicle was released in 1991 with mostly original parts. And the first thing I need to mention is that I keep confusing the name with that of the Cobra Parasite, to the point where I even had to change the name of my script at one point.
Weird.
Anyway, let's talk about the toy. The bright orange toy. The very bright orange toy.
Yeah, can you tell what my main problem with this thing is?
I'd say the 90s were a dark time, but they actually were a bright neon one for G.I.Joe.
But you know what?
I'm gonna be adult about this for once. I've said I hate the color, so I'm just gonna move on and look at all the other aspects of the vehicle, ignoring the orange. It's a good mold and looks pretty cool. There's lots of detailing to be had with vents, pneumatics, and a very intricate looking weapon system. Of course, since this is Hasbro in the 90s, all that goodness is only on the parts that are normally visible, because to save money, when you flip it upside down, you just see a hollow shell.
And yes, that is a legitimate complaint.
Because kids would play with it and flip it over if it got hit by a G.I. Joe rocket or something, revealing the sad husk underneath.
Playability is decent.
The turret can move 360 degrees and the weapons can swivel up about 45 degrees, though not separately. I would have liked it better if the guns and the rocket launcher could swivel independently. Ah yes, the rocket launcher. As was the style at the time, it could really fire missiles. There's 3 of them, which is one too few I feel, as it leaves a peg empty if there's one in the turret.
Speaking of useless pegs,
there's one on the inside of each caterpillar track, but nothing to put on there. Plus, there's not really room for anything to go there anyway, because the actual wheels that make the thing move get in the way. I think it's because this part was reused from the mobile battle bunker. The wheels, well, the tracks really are the last real play feature, as they can move downwards, lifting up the Paralyzer. I don't really see the point.
But it's fun for kids, I guess.
Finally, the figure has room for 1 driver, and there's footpegs on the back for 2 figures. Overall, this is a fine Cobra vehicle. Is what I would be saying if I could get past the color, but I just can't. If only this thing had come out in a different color scheme.
Oh wait, it did!
In 1993, it was recolored and released in the G.I. Joe Street Fighter II line as the Sonic Boom Tank with Guile as the pilot. And it looks much better. Oh yeah, this version came with a figure, but the actual Paralyzer didn't. For what it's worth, the 1992 Firefly figure states on his file card he's supposed to be the driver, despite a Desert Scorpion being behind the wheel on the box. Well, I say wheel, it doesn't actually have a steering wheel, just joysticks. And those were the only toys this mold ever got.
So let's talk other media.
The Paralyzer showed up a bunch of times in that bastion of quality known as the D cartoon, but never did much more than be a vehicle for Cobra the Joes could blow up. The vehicle also appeared plenty of times in the comic. It first showed up in issue 116.
But in a weird way.
Because it was used as a bulldozer. Now, it did do actual bulldozer work, but it was also a ruse to get close to Castle Destro for a surprise attack. Yeah, at this point in the comic, Cobra Commander and Destro were enemies. Also note how the color is toned down for the comic. Later, they seem to be Cobra's main battle tank, as the Hiss was in earlier years. Its last appearance is also its most significant.
But not because of anything it does itself.
You see, Scarlet is on one of them as she tries to assassinate Hawk, blowing up his jeep in the process, killing him and Stalker.
Okay, that deserves some context.
It is in fact a ruse to get her into Cobra undercover, though she wasn't in on the explosion part of it. Finally, it appeared in a commercial along with the Badger, and note how the kids are playing with more than one. Hasbro sneakily encouraging army building there. And that was the Paralyzer! I think it's an interesting vehicle, and with a better color scheme, like the Sonic Boom Tank, it could have been very good indeed. It still can be if you don't mind or actually like the orange. For me though, yeah, that was a deal breaker.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?
Orange can be hard sometimes, she knows.